mix of old-school shooters and RPG had been around for a long time. There used to be Hexen and Heretic. Now there's a Project Warlock and Griven. And to these roguelike mechanics, and you can see why such projects have become quite popular lately. Into the Pit is just made in this way. Who does the game have the offer against its competitors? We play as a heretical mystery who, like his sister Lurdia, collect occult knowledge. After the titular demonic pit was discovered beneath one of the villages, Lurdia went there and disappeared. Our mystic went in search of her and upon arrival found that almost all the other inhabitants has disappeared as well. Whatever by chance God or game designers, all the urchins and important from the plot comrades were left untouched, who get a great excuse to motivate us, say to go deeper and deeper into the pit, free as many inhabitants as possible, and then they will start to render their services. So only when we find an enumerator of villages will the merchant and change the some other useful specialists become available. At first available only rune craftsmen. For the resources collect during the descent. We create runes which we attach to the key that opens the entrance to the dungeon, and thus receive modifiers and bonuses that work through the descent. This can be increase in health, an increase in effectiveness of treatments or reduction of the effects of negative status. The ability to start each descent with the charger's ability Chat Death. It turns to life with a certain number of health points in exchange for applied charges, and so on. There's a lot of options, and the combination of rune effect is not that make each descent unique, but certainly refreshing. The further and deeper, the more difficult and therefore the more important and powerful the runes become, but to create them we'll need to collect more resources and save more locals. Then you will able not only to find but also to create or modify keys that open passages to new catacombs. In the dungeons themselves, we must constantly clear a certain number of rooms to open the portal to go even deeper. This eventually leads to the boss and opens the door to the new catacombs, where you can save even more villagers. After each room cleared, another improvement is given out. We have to choose which rooms to visit, the varying resources and opportunities that we find. Somewhere there is a fountain of healing, somewhere a chest with random resources or the ability to sacrifice part of the health in exchange for an upgrade. Somewhere you can collect blood for charge your Cheat Death ability. And if the choice is between this and, for example, the Fountain of Healing, it is very difficult tactical decision. The choice of enchantment is also very important and tricky thing. But first, before each trigger, you have to decide which spell will work in the left hand and which in the right hand. They differ in this rate of fire, type of damage and range. Yeah, even it is says shotgun, you still get a spell that fires magical charges from the burning hand that tear enemies nearby into pieces of bloody flesh. And in the right hand, I prefer to take long-range spells, releasing rockets, spheres, beams, or a wool scattering of projectiles. Also, as a start, determine which general upgrade for the character will be the first. For example, total damage reduction. He'll gain the ability to perpetually restore it with each monster kill, and so on. And after each successfully cleared room, you have to choose whatever to take, an improvement for the left hand, to the right hand, or general. What is more important to increase the damage from the melee attack? To add it increased chance of critical damage, poison, bombs, or to make long-range shots from the right hand to slow down the enemies. Or it's still better to take a general upgrade to, for example, go on rampage when gathering resources or destroying enemies. Each time the upgrades are dropped at random, and by our choice we form our own passing strategy and make the raids unique. Even though all the rooms within one area of the catacombs are more or less the same. In one raid you can swiftly pump up a melee attack and immediately get a powerful shotgun. and in the other one it's not falling out, but you pump up a long range spell or make your character a killing machine, which with each death of enemies heals and falls into range. The main thing is to get the right engagement and you combine them correctly. This is a really case where randomness goes to your adventure, and the choice of passage is implemented completely and allows you to more or less regulate the element of randomness, to adjust for yourself, and to that the choice between the keys and runes, which we create ourselves. It also quite a tool to change the situation. And the second argument of Into the Pit is the battles themselves. They are cheerful, thought and old school. In each room you have to destroy a certain number of artifacts, and to do this you have to fight creatures running, crawling, flying, throwing fireballs or stinging. Artifacts are usually guarded by turrets and can be behind magical barriers. You have to find the switches first to remove them, or the artifacts will be surrounded by a poisonous swamp, or traps with sticks flying out of the floor, or doors will close behind you as you approach, and a crowd of monsters will appear out of thin air, or generators that give our enemies protection. To survive you have to recall the skills of Quake 3, to run, jump, strafe, twirl your head and aim, fly on trampolines and shoot straight in the air. I just took a rest with my soul and plunged into nostalgia. Thankfully the graphic here is integrally aged, and the battles bloody and old school meat. Especially Adrenaline were the battles with bosses, which understandably and big and low to continue assault of nestings and occasionally call minions. If you're killed by their paws, two tails or any other battle, you will go back to the village, having lost all your resources. That's why sometimes it's better not to go down deeper, but go up to the surface and visit the artisans. Into the Pit is both a meaty old-school shooter and an addictive challenging RPG all in one. Yes, it's not perfect, you can pick one the graphic with this massive filter, to the controls, to the often repetitive location, to the same randomness, but all this do not prevent me from getting my portion of pleasure from the game.